Welcome to the Daily BA. I am back in Miami with Alex. We're going to be talking about
how to get started with behavior analysis and technology.
Tune in. Here we go. So someone like me, I think, I don't know, it's wherever it happens, the gym, like in the morning, at night, you're just like, man, this would be a cool idea, like that one.
Mm-hmm.
What are the steps to start moving that way? Like, let's talk about those.
Okay.
So you're like, hey, there's these areas and I see the potential.
Yeah, that's a great question.
VR, AR, whatever it is, where do you start moving? Like, I have some strategies, but I'm curious what yours are too.
That's an awesome question. I think what it really boils down to is people willing to take risks.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in behavior analysis for like 10 years now,
mm-hmm.
and I didn't get into behavior analysis to work with kids that have autism to do therapy. I just wanted to get some experience.
Mm-hmm.
When I got involved in it, I discovered, oh my God, I love this. This is awesome. Like, this is super fulfilling, very rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up really enjoying it. But over time, I started to discover I do eventually still want to go back to trying something else, to get involved in something else and helping behavior analysis expand to another area. So what I did was I decided, okay, I'm going to solve a problem in behavior analysis. And I decided I wanted to create an app that solved a certain problem.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about it because I might still do it.
Yeah.
But basically, I pitched it to an investor.
Okay.
And that investor said, no, I kind of already have something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you do this instead?
Mm-hmm.
And so then I got involved with another company, and now a WePortal, and now basically I'm working on practice management.
Yeah.
And so the point of the story is I took a risk. I started partnering up with certain people that wanted to do something else in ABA.
Yeah.
And I looked for a developer. I started looking for other people that wanted to solve other problems also. And by doing that, I was able to sort of get the process rolling. I started learning how do you do these other things that are related to solving this problem in behavior analysis.
Yeah.
And then it didn't work out because I pretty much it just fell apart. The developer, person on the team ended up not doing their end of the plan. And so it just kind of flopped, but I kept pushing forward, and the investor said, well, I don't really want to do that, but what about this? So I got to solve something that's related, and I got to start working on sort of the same issues. So, I feel like life is kind of like that. You don't know where it's going to take you, but you have no idea. But once you start trying and you're putting yourself out there and you're really trying to take on risk and trying to say, I want to solve this, you're going to meet other people that think the way you do and are excited by the prospect of getting out there and doing something different. So I guess to answer your question, the first step is really making a decision. I'm going to solve this problem. This is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to leverage my behavior analytic experience in this way. And I'm going to figure out a way to get it done. And if it doesn't work out, maybe I'll end up somewhere else, but it's related.
Yeah, I've thrown ideas, worked with different teams. They've either kind of worked, crashed and burned, not gone anywhere. Shelve them like you're talking about. I'll come back to that later. And it's just a constant cycle. Yeah, I can totally relate to that. So was there certain networking groups or things that you went to in your city? I found oddly that Yelp in Reno had a lot of people coming together. So that was a place where I actually sent people and I say, hey, if there's a Yelp event, go to it. It's a weird, different environment, but there's usually people walking around, and at the very least you can meet. It's not your place to pitch and talk about your ideas necessarily, but there's a lot of people in the Reno area that were coming together at those that were influencers and potential investors and change makers to some degree. And then some of them are formally on meetup.com and there's things like that. There's the universities. What have you found useful?
So I think it depends on what approach you take, how busy you are, things like that. But I think the main thing is to always ask. Ask around. You'd be amazed at how many people will help you if you're just asking for help. So I went to SCORE. A lot of people talk about SCORE on Facebook. It's like a free mentoring thing. I went to SCORE. I went to I didn't really go to any networking events, but I approached friends. Hey, do you know anyone who would be interested in like developing, or do you know any developers and things like that? And that's how we originally formed our small team.
Cool.
That didn't work out, but that's how we got the ball rolling. That's how I learned a lot of the skills that I'm using now in a related thing.
Yeah.
But I do think there's a lot of value in what you're saying in going to events and meeting other people. I think people don't really know how to network. Networking isn't about yourself. It's about going out there and helping other people. Yeah. And then, you know, you kind of just saying, oh, this is what I'm looking for. And people are going to naturally want to help you too, because you're already trying to help people.
Yep. So, yeah, I found that largely. So I started actually, part of this channel, before I started this channel up, was just going to those Yelp events, doing some video work for free to learn and advance my skill sets.
Yeah.
But, it also had people that were then like, hey, what do you do? And I was like, well, this is what I do. And they're like, what do you need? And I was like, well, I don't know. Like, you know, like, I need some things, but I don't know if you're the person to ask, or, you know, I mean, I guess I'd say I need some things, but I don't know, like,
if it's appropriate to
ask you for some of the things I'm looking for, you know? So, it was really interesting. And then, okay, cool. So there's always, I'd say the asking was huge for me. The networking, I wanted to dive in on like a specific video eventually on that as well, just how to go about doing it. Yeah, and I think you hit on the nail. It's a lot of just providing value up front first, and like being genuine and having a conversation over like, hey, this is what I want out of this.
Yeah, I think what's worked for me a lot, and this is kind of getting into the idea of like, how do you take some steps to disseminate and do things. Okay. You'd be amazed at how many people get very far in life not expecting anything in return. Yeah. Just saying, I want to bring value. I want to bring value to your company. I want to bring value to you. I've read a lot of stories of people just saying, don't pay me. Yeah. I'm going to work for you for free, and I'm going to solve problems for you. And if you think I'm worth keeping, give me a salary at the end of the month. Yeah. And they end up getting, you know, a nice salary. Yeah. They have a full-time job, and it's only because they came to the table and said, don't pay me anything. I'm gonna show you what I can bring to the table. And that mentality of, you know, not expecting anything, just bringing value and then seeing what you get in return. Yeah. Because if you bring value, people are gonna want to keep you. Yeah, for sure. Period. End of story. Yeah. No one's gonna want to let a good worker go, or someone who solves problems. So. Yeah. So to say, one thing that I've noticed is, I don't remember. I feel like I don't remember exactly where the hell we ran into each other. I know it was like a phone call right before. Yeah, it was a phone call. Yeah. But I don't remember why. Do you? No, I think you were just reaching out to people, and it was next gen-ish sort of stuff. Maybe. Yeah, that's what it was. Like there was something from that led me there. Okay, so yeah, I guess one thing I've realized, like recently, we were posting some of the same forums and things, and I've realized like the people asking questions, like you're talking about, just ask. I'm like, these people are probably trying to solve something, and they're similar to me, you know. When you're asking for resources and you're just kind of engaging in those conversations, for sure. And then you learn like, man, these folks are busy, they're married, you know what I mean, and it's like they're still doing this sort of stuff. I've found those are sort of folks I kind of like, I'm like attracted to, like to work with, you know, professionally. Like, they're doing something. I don't know what it is, but like they're working the butt off. they're constantly involved, constantly interacting. Yeah. There's a lot of value in being involved. You meet a lot of people, you know, there's a lot of value in helping other people too, without, like I said, expecting anything in return. You're more likely to have people, you know, strike up a conversation and they tell you something that you didn't know that is actually really useful for you, like resources, right? Like, and sometimes asking, like on groups or whatever, gives you good resources, but sometimes you run into resources just by having a chat. Yeah. Like you and I are talking about a problem we're having, and then you're like, oh, have you tried this service or have you done this? Yeah. And you're like, no, I had no idea that I could do that. And the next thing you know, you've solved like a huge hurdle in your life just by interacting with someone, just you know, taking the time to come into contact with social reinforcers. You know? So I think there's a lot of value in that. Yeah. When it comes to behavior analysis, I like the distinction of like tech of process and tech of tools. Tools being your gadgets, your software, hardware. Your process being your contingency analysis, your instructional design, UX, UI, all that sort of stuff. And that was a distinction by Joe Lang and Janet Twyman, and others that like they kind of broke it out that way. So I feel like technology and that, like when I talk about technology, I think of it in that way.
when it comes to value, like I feel like we've got a ton of value over here when it comes to like how we can see the world.
Yes.
But I feel like one of our barriers is this technology of tools side, and like how do we really bridge that gap? Like, did you start like learning skills over there? Like,
yeah, it's hard. I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I've had to learn a whole bunch of different skills that I never anticipated.
Like what?
Well, for one, managing people.
Okay.
You have to learn how to manage people, manage expectations.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just your customers anymore; it's your staff.
Yep.
Your staff and your customers. I mentioned this to you in passing earlier. The part of the problem of being a problem solver is that everyone comes to you with problems.
Yep.
So you have to learn how to like say, okay, I'm going to solve your problem, or I'm going to help you figure that out, but like set expectations. Like, okay, it's not reasonable for me to fix your problem every single time right away. So you also have to learn that skill.
Time. Yeah.
You have to learn the skill of saying no. You have to learn business skills. You have to learn, for example, with tech, you have to learn some basics of how technology works, like developing technology. So I got really lucky because when I was a kid, growing up, my dad got me a computer like maybe in 6th grade, and I was very hooked on the computer. I taught myself HTML, which is like coding, very basic coding language for making websites. So I literally got a manual and I taught myself as an 11-year-old, and I started making websites about books, that I was reading.
Nice.
Very nerdy thing to do at age 11. But I enjoyed it, and that I also ended up taking a web design class in high school just for fun, just to get an easy A in high school. But it really paid off long term, because now the developers I work with, I understand their process a little bit more than if I wouldn't have. And I understand certain things that they value. For instance, when you code the website or whatever it is you're coding, you get attached to it. It's like yours. It's your baby. You know every single line of code. And then if you were to like give someone access to it and like they mess that up, it's like you're painting, someone just like came and like drew on your painting. So like you learn to sort of understand this possessiveness that developers have over their code, and they're wanting to protect it, but they also have to learn to work in groups, just for the productivity, being able to like iterate much faster.
Moving forward.
So you learn that. You start to get a sense of how difficult a task is for the developer. Because let me tell you, if you have a good developer, it's really easy to be like, this is what I want. And then they make it happen, and your behavior is like reinforced. You're like, yeah, I want this too, and I want that. And then the next thing you know, like the developer's like taking a week to get it done, and you're just kind of like, why are you taking so long? But the truth is that the task you might have given them is really difficult. And so you have to learn to like have a reasonable expectation based off the task. And it's kind of hard to get a sense of that. But
that was part of just anything that's creating value like that. Any creative process endeavor like that. So the podcast side, writing for me, but then this video really has been. Any video stuff that I've worked on, I realized I needed to jump in, understand it, so I understood what I was expecting and the process. So I see a video and I'm like, man, like that would be so cool in our field. But as soon as I'm on year 2 of like getting my butt whooped on a lot of those things, you're like, you're learning like what it takes, and now I know much clearer expectations. What was cool is now I can call some buddies up and be like, hey, we need this, and this. It's a 30-second chat. You in or not, and they're like, and then you know what you're gonna get, and they know what it entails, and with the editing to the shooting and all that, and it's kind of it's like that. Whereas a couple years ago, it was just a mess, and I didn't understand any of it.
I think that's a great point. What you're saying, there's a lot of value in suffering, right? Like suffering through the difficulty, so that when you pass that along to someone else, you at least know what it entails. Like how difficult it is, how much it's worth, things like that. That's part of the reason I give Diaz such a hard time. Like, no, I want you to suffer. I want you to like get in there and categorize your expenses with me. There's a lot of value in that, I think. So what you're saying is, I completely agree with it. Get into the basics, learn from the ground up, and then hand it off to someone who likes doing it.
Maybe one thing we can do is if someone just has a comment or question of like, I'm interested in this area, we could like kick them some resources. I think that'd be a good thing to do.
For sure.
Hope you enjoyed. Where can people learn more?
Go to the Behavior Analysis Technology SIG on Facebook, or check out the website and sign up. Try to become a member.
They're linked down below, as well as I'm throwing all of his contact information down there too, his company and all that, so you can check it out. So yeah, let's jump in the comments section. That's your Daily BA.